I'm glad you're here. Do you go by Dawn or Dawn Ann? Do you prefer Dawn Ann or just Dawn?
I go by both, but my family, half my family's from West Virginia, and I actually go by Dawn Ann.
Okay. All right. I didn't want to refer to you as just Dawn if you're Dawn Ann. Okay. So we crossed paths on the Facebook support pages, correct?
Yes.
And you've got a story. I want you to tell everyone your story. The whole purpose of these is we have all these TV stations covering us and doing stories about breast implant illness to try to get the word out. But what happens is they're limited on time, and a lot of stuff, important stuff, ends up on, and it might not be important, like they don't know it's important, but it ends up on the edit room floor because of time restrictions. So what I like to do with this is just let you guys tell your story, uninterrupted, and go as long as you like, talk as much as you want to talk about. You can talk about, I know you do work with cannabis. You can talk about that. I don't care. You can talk about the Michigan legislation and the other states that you're working on because you're behind that. So I just kind of want to hear your story. Like, where did it begin for you? Like, why, whatever prompted you to go get breast implants? Mine was total insecurity. I just have to admit that mine was just total insecurity. My husband didn't want me to get them, and I went and got them anyway. So I always ask women, what drove you down the rabbit hole to get breast implants in the first place? And were you healthy first? Did you have any ailments first? And if so, what happened along your journey that led you here?
First, I did already have autoimmune disease, and I did already go through flare-ups. What's that?
Did you already know you had autoimmune? Okay.
I was already seeing a rheumatologist for quite some time before then.
I asked because I had an undiagnosed autoimmune and I didn't know it, and I put them in on top of it, and then it just, so I wondered if you knew you already had one and put them in. Okay.
I did. And as a matter of fact, when I went to my surgeon, I asked them, I said, I can't even wear earrings. Do you think this is going to be okay for me? As I respond to everything. Oh yeah. Silicone is inert in the human body. This line that I've heard so many times.
What did they tell you? I couldn't hear that.
They said it's inert, basically inert in the human body. Uh-huh. Yeah. And I've heard that from more than one doctor, which I find very interesting because I'm just like, that's just not true. But I did end up getting breast implants after being diagnosed with multiple bilateral breast cancers in 2014. And I really liked my breasts the way they were, quite honestly. And, but, I grew up with Pamela Anderson and all these beautiful, big breasted women that obviously,
Barbie.
Yes,
it wasn't all the way back to Barbie. Yeah.
But clothes are kind of made that way, to kind of fashion those women. And so, the thought of it scared me. And I did a lot of research. I didn't find much about it when I did my research. And
what year was that?
That was 2014. And I didn't have a flat closure option, or, they're like, oh, you're too young. You look better in your clothes. You'll have better self-confidence. It's covered by your insurance, and they can switch them out, change the sizes. It'll all be covered, get them removed.
So wait, can I ask, you said you had breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Did you end up with a mastectomy and then put the implants in, or did you?
Yes, I did have a mastectomy. I had cancer. I had a couple large tumors over here that were HER2 positive and PR positive. And then I had kind of all over calcifications everywhere that was ER/PR positive. And then I had two different in situs. One was extensive, and then the other one, one was lobular and an extensive lobular in situ, and then high grade ductal in situ. And then, in addition to the two different cancers. So I was kind of freaked out. I knew that I wouldn't have a lot of tissue left. And they basically told me, you'll probably be concave if you don't do reconstruction, which now, no, at that point I was like, oh man, that I'll be alive, but that'll kind of suck.
Right.
And now I know there's fat transfer. Yes, because fat transfer, there's different things that are there. And just like, man, to tell somebody that when they're going through a traumatic experience anyways.
But they told you it was safe.
Yeah. They should give women time to absorb the shock of being diagnosed with cancer before they make any of these different difficult decisions that can, affect the rest of their life. And so when I went through with this, like I said, I did my homework. I worked in dentistry over 20 years. It's, I'm like a science geek. And so the bad thing is, as soon as I got them, I had problems. I know a lot of women never have problems or go months or years without having problems. And it was all attributed to my chemo and my cancer, because I did have the double mastectomy.
What do you mean it was all attributed? They told you that, or you're saying that?
No, I would say, hey, what's going on here? My other friends in my cancer support groups aren't going through these same things. What's going on? Do I have cancer somewhere else in my body? Was, really the biggest thing I wanted to make sure that we were addressing, because I was so sick. And after having breast implants placed, going through my chemo, it's been about 7 years. And that year on my chemo was no picnic, but it was the best year of the time I had my breast implants. I just continuously got sicker and sicker. And they would say, it shouldn't be this, but it's probably your new normal.
So what was your new normal? What was happening? What were your symptoms? What was occurring?
Well, immediately, I had my implants placed at about the same time I started my chemotherapy. Almost, like right hand in hand.
I'm shocked that they do that.
I can't believe it now. And they'd always say, oh, well, hopefully you'll be well enough for your next infusion. And looking back, I'm just like, what a mess that was. I wish I just knew a little bit more than I did, but immediately I started stinking, like I'd like to call it a dirty money chemical smell. And I thought it was from chemotherapy, because I had friends say, oh, chemo, you can kind of smell it. And well, it never went away. It got worse and worse. So much so that I was at a friend's house, and I knew that, I can smell it. And I tell people, sorry, there's, whether it's chemo or what it is, I didn't know it was my breast implants probably at the time. But I'd say, it was me. And a guy actually got in an argument with me saying, no, you can't smell this bad. This is just a horrible smell. I had somebody say that there must be something spilled. It was me. And I had that immediately. And I attributed it to chemo, because I'd heard people say
all over body odor. Wow.
Throughout my clothes, where I'd have to even wash my clothes sometimes more than once. Yeah.
Oh my
it
gosh.
was ridiculous. And so, I didn't know about BII at these initial years at all. So, I had the smell, and I started getting shingles, and I attributed that to the chemo and cancer, because a lot of people do end up getting shingles post-cancer because their immune systems are a little beat down.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. And the thing is I started getting them 2 to 3 times a year. Yeah.
And then did you, what about the shingles vaccine?
They tried to get me to take that. I took the pneumonia vaccine, and I had horrible reactions.
I'm pushing it on you.
Oh yes, they did too. And after having the pneumonia vaccine though, I had horrible edema. I had all over body reaction for days and days. And I just said, what? It's almost like a bee sting for me with an allergy. It just seemed to get worse every time that I would introduce something like that into my body.
Right.
So that just wasn't a thing for me. But the thing is now, 2019 is when I removed my breast implants. It's been over a year since I've had shingles. Yes, I haven't had shingles.
What month in 2019?
Honestly, it's been about that time. What's that?
What month in 2019?
It was August 8th, 2019.
And you've not had shingles since?
No. Yeah, it's amazing. And I have pictures where I was the bride of Frankenstein. I had them in my eyes, inside, it actually damaged my ear. I would have them throughout the one side of my trunk. I always would get them just below my breast area. And just about a year ago, I would still have a few little bumps down here that were itchy. Those are completely gone as well now. But shingles is no picnic. And I just kept on getting it and getting it. And now that it's not there anymore, proof's in the pudding. I had heart palpitations where, I still have a cardio oncologist, but I had to wear monitors repeatedly and get my heart checked. And within the last 6 months.
What was showing up on the heart monitor? What showed up?
I had palpitations the whole time that I since chemo and breast implants
So
and
it's called
post-op.
palpitations?
Yes. Yep. They just called it, I have heart palpitations. And so I think it was about 6 months ago, I wore the whole rig again, for the heart monitor. And I told them, I'm not having palpitations anymore. I'm having like micro palpitations is how I described them. And it was very infrequent. Well, those are they're ventricular and atrial flutters. I have no more palpitations anymore.
Right.
None.
I was having massive palpitations. It felt like somebody was squeezing my heart and it would stop. And I'd just sit there and then I'd get lightheaded and I'd look at my husband and like, it's happening again. And he'd be like, what do I do? And then I go, and all of a sudden it would go boom, 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 like and catch up. Boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
Boom, boom, boom. Again, like it would catch up. And so they strapped monitors on me and it showed up all 3 times they strapped monitors on me. And the last time they told me the bottom was jumping ahead of the top part of the heart, but don't worry about it.
Sure.
And ever since, so mine were removed April of 2018, not one heart palpitation since, not one.
That's
20 years,
wonderful.
20 years I had those. In fact, I was in my mother had AFib and I was with her cardiologist at her meeting, at her appointment. And I'm thinking, my God, I have all the symptoms of AFib. Why has nobody ever diagnosed me with AFib? Because I didn't have AFib. I had breast implants in that were causing it.
Yes, I truly believe that that's exactly what was, whether it's the inflammatory reaction, whatever it is, it was definitely causing it.
Did your blood pressure go up?
Oh, yes, that was the other thing. My chronic hypertension went through the roof. Like, I'm so lucky to be here. I was always an athlete, like 110/60 was pretty much my blood pressure before. And again, they're like, well, it's your new normal. We don't know why.
You have white coat syndrome. I go, really? Really? I peaked at 120/80 at 9 months pregnant. You guys take it twice and say, are you sure you're alive? Ha ha. Now I have white coat syndrome all of a sudden. That's what they just cast you aside.
They really do. They do plant that. Well, you're at the doctor's office seed right away when you start to have hypertension. But then I was like 210/110 even. Yeah, no joke. I would hit that like 2 times a week. And my average is about 170/180/100. Yeah. And I felt like I was stroking out half the time because I was pretty darn close to it. And I will tell you that, of course, the thing that they blamed on whatever, couldn't it be my breast implants? I even asked about that.
You did?
I went for my neck surgery and they had to put 2 injections in my arm to bring my BP back up because it was dangerously low in the hospital. And so suddenly I was off for my 5 blood pressure meds that I had to go on because of these damn breast implants. And I know, I had them. I had chronic hypertension that a lot of people don't survive. I got them out and I'm still like 120/60 max. My blood pressure is doing wonderful.
You take meds?
I take lisinopril 1 time a day now. And the doctor, I said, what? I think I need to get off it and see how I do. And he said that we'll reduce it and then we'll see if I can get off it. But I just keep on progressing to a better blood pressure.
Wow. Yep. I see a lot of high blood pressure with women with implants. Mine went up to 169 over something and I started crying in the doctor's office. It's when I finally switched to the Center for Optimal Health up in Lansing. And you pay out of pocket like $350 or something. And you get an hour with the medical doctor. And the first lady I went to, I had the implants in and she probably saved my life because she discovered the Hashimoto's and my CRP, which is inflammation marker, was 3.1. And so it's high risk for stroke and heart attack. My blood pressure was high and she's the only one who listened to me and put me on an anti-inflammatory diet and probably saved me from having a stroke or something. She probably saved my life and did that, but we never figured out it was the implants until a couple of years later.
Hey, and it's like we're treating so many routes of inflammation, not knowing that there's a core source right there in front of us. We just
I think I can link all my symptoms back to inflammation. I think like every symptom I had can be linked back to the inflammation caused by the breast implants.
Yes, I agree with that. A lot of people will just be like, oh, it's a breast implant in your body, but I think the inflammation, everybody deals with inflammation differently. I have friends with breast implants, and God bless them, they're doing great. You
Yeah,
know, and I
I do
also have
too.
breast implants that are, you know, friends that I have breast implants and they're not doing great, or they've explanted and had better luck with their health.
Yes,
Um,
I have friends who have them and they don't appear to be reacting. I just pray for them. And I told one recently, you know, you may never react. I don't know. I'm not allergic to peanut butter, so I don't know. I would just get your inflammation markers checked every year and keep your eye on them and keep your eye on getting an autoimmune disorder, because you might not be able to reverse the damage.
Yes, and especially, you know, there's so many of us that are going into, you know, we're getting older phase, you know, that, oh, you're getting older. That's the other cliche line, you know, that they like to use, whether it's true or not. You know, I was instantly put into night sweats and hot cold intolerance that it would actually make me sick and throw up. You know, so we'd change sheets, we'd put down towels, we'd change blanket or lay on the next one, you know, it was just disgusting and gross, and it felt horrible.
Yeah,
That went away instantly. Now I know what a real hot flash
mine never
feels
went
like.
away.
Oh, good Lord, girl, I feel for you.
I had like 40 some symptoms and everything went away except for the night sweats, which are just awful, and hot flashes during the day. So I just went back up to the Center for Optimal Health and he just put me on hormones, but I don't know. It's only been like day one. So I don't know. We'll see. But that's the only thing that didn't go away for me. I used to get chronic migraines every day, headaches, everything's gone. I didn't smell like you. I did smell. Mine
Mm-hmm.
was down below. It smelled like a barnyard, I said. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
what in the hell is happening to my body? Like my little self-cleaning oven was not so, yeah. And that's all gone.
Yeah,
Said
you know, it
my
just throws
body,
you
I
out of
felt like I was
balance.
rotting.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, I had a hard time breathing all the time. It wasn't just the pressure of the implants on my chest, but I just felt like I always couldn't breathe. And sometimes I don't even know how to describe it, but I couldn't even swallow right, even with nothing to swallow. Like just sitting here, I would struggle, feel like my airway was kind of closing off.
Mhm.
And I don't have that anymore, which is another nice thing. I don't throw up on a regular basis. I do still get sick like twice a month because
Yep.
I get too hot.
Oh, well, mine, I was always throwing up from foods. I had a massive food intolerance. Now I can eat everything.
Nice.
I
So,
know.
and you know, some of those things you think are never going to go away, it just makes you appreciate them so much more
Yeah.
when you can be back to at least a version of your normal self and
Mhm.
enjoy some of those things that you usually can't
So
enjoy.
what other symptoms were you having? Like headaches, chronic fatigue,
I
muscle
did have chronic
fatigue?
fatigue. I had headaches every once in a while.
Mhm.
I took edibles to prevent migraines before I was diagnosed with cancer. And so I just continued that. I would get headaches, occipital kind of headaches in the back. But for me, I just had tons of pain. And what happened is those expanders pushed on my chest cavity and ribs so bad that now to this day still, I have to go back every 3 to 4 weeks and get my ribs put back in place because they all shift all over the place, front and back. And it's, you know, it's kind of a mess, but
How do
believe it
they,
or not, it
how do
got
they put them
so
back in
much
place?
better. What's that?
How do they put your ribs back in place?
Well, they just kind of shove them in there. Sometimes they'll have me bring my thigh up to my chest and push. I try to do it with pillows in the wall, but it's
Gosh.
just chronic. But the shoulder pain that I had, which was exacerbating, it was just horrible. It it was horrible. It is so much better. I still have a lot of pain because I have underlying conditions with my joints anyways, but it was so much better. I didn't have that iron bra feeling. That was hideous. I don't
Mhm.
know if you experienced that because we had Alloderm tied in there, you know, being a breast cancer survivor. I didn't realize it was what was actually tied in.
What's alloderm?
It's there's some kind of fake tissue or something that they use to help support the breast implants under the muscle.
Oh,
And
God.
not everybody gets that, is my understanding. But I went in there and I said, it feels like I have something stapled under my chest. And he said, well, you do have, you know, it's like sutured in there. And that's where I had a rash the whole time I had breast implants too. It was always red in that area. And so that was such a relief to have it go away. I almost felt like I had the flu most of the time.
Yeah, that's what I felt like.
just off and on. But every day I would feel like I had the flu. I feel bad for women. And part of the reason I'm here is because I know not everybody experiences this, but if you do, even if it might be that you're getting older, it might be that you're not getting sleep, different symptoms are caused by different things, but it might be worth looking into as well.
Right. Not everybody reacts to them. That's what, yeah. But if you can't figure out what's wrong with you, and neither can the doctors, it is something to go look into. Yeah, but it's very difficult because we pay for these beautiful breasts that we wanted since we were little girls with our Barbie dolls. And then you got to remove them. And then you're left with the aftermath and the results afterwards, which women have a very hard time with. And a lot of women are opting now to just go flat like a mastectomy and close it off, like get rid of everything and just go flat. And I'm like, oh, bravo, women. They've just had enough of this, and they're voluntarily doing that. And I applaud them.
I do, much respect, because it's a scary situation to be in anyways. And to just do that, even if you don't realize it, you've saved yourself so many days, years of trouble and more surgeries, inflammation, reactions. There's so many different things. I mean, besides the freezing cold chest that I had, I also had
you did?
spasms. Yeah. Oh, like an ice.
I've never heard anybody else say that.
Oh, it was so cold. And I wondered if that's why I had such a problem with hot and cold, because I almost felt like a home with a bad furnace. Like somebody was leaving the window open in the wintertime in one room, and somebody was, blazing the fireplace in the other room.
Yeah.
And right after I had my implants out, like right now, my chest, I can feel it all.
Yes.
Which is
mine was
amazing.
numb for 20 years. I had no feeling for 20 years. I wouldn't know if my husband was touching me unless I looked down and saw he was touching me. I had no idea. I mean, they were so numb. And then 3 days after my surgery, I'm at the post-op, and he's taking the tape off, the doctor, to look. And I started crying, and he says, "Oh, am I hurting you?" And I said, "No, I can feel you touching me." And he's like, "Well, but I'm hurting you." And I said, "No, I can just feel you touching me." And I haven't felt that for 20 years.
You know what? It was enough to bring tears to my eyes too. I totally can relate to what you're saying. Let's see. Is that okay? My battery started going.
Oh,
but
and my symptoms were all blamed on menopause. Yeah,
it's so easy for them to do that.
It was menopause, now it's post-menopause, and they were all blaming it, except for, I love this new doctor I just went to, Dr. Pawsat up in Lansing. So he actually sits and listens, and then they find a natural instead of going to pharmaceuticals and stuff first.
I might have to investigate with that. Just
I really, really like this place.
It's so nice to have a backup. And I know a lot of people use different things on the internet for detoxing and different things, but if anybody is just getting into this, like I was in 2019, I started detoxing because of cancer anyways. And I think that might've been part of the reason I was so sick with my implants as well, because I was doing clays and zeolite and just different pullers and binders, and being full of something with heavy metals. I just wonder if I was exposing myself to these things even worse.
Yeah, I kept soaking in hot baths and taking steam showers with mine in, and didn't know that was not a good thing to be doing, because I didn't know.
Yeah, who knew? Honestly, the few times I felt like I was dying, and like literally dying. And there was a few times in Burning Man, which is like 100 degrees, Vegas, which was 100 degrees, and the sauna a few times, a few different times. I was on the basement floor praying my kids didn't find me, and the smell would get worse.
Oh my God.
And my blood pressure would just shoot up to ungodly numbers. And so the heat, I just picture being a little pot of water, with plastic in it, basically heating that up. And, I didn't have any ruptures or leaks. I had Allergan Smooth, and I am full of heavy metals. I was not before.
So you've been tested?
Yes, multiple times actually.
I mean, off the charts numbers?
Yes, and my lead, it seems like
my lead was like, off the chart.
Yeah, like 8 times the concentration that a person's human body is ever supposed to have.
Yeah.
What is up with that? Arsenic, cadmium, the cadmium, they told me I probably wouldn't be able to detox, but I will say that I still have it in my system, but I have decreased it by a huge amount, which was
How?
impressive to me. I don't know what thing it is. We do green powders in our smoothies. I do frozen cannabis juicing in my smoothies.
Frozen
But
cannabis juicing?
yes, we juice cannabis leaves. You kind of defoliate some of your plants. If you have a big cannabis plant and it gets I know this might sound foreign, but the flower that people smoke, the green part that people smoke, there's lots of other leaves on that plant. And they're full of antioxidants and wonderful things at a cellular level for your body. And so my fiance would take those, put them through the juicer. They go into frozen little trays that go in the freezer. And then every smoothie, we put 2 to 3 of those cannabis cubes in there as well. I've done zeolite, I've done the clays, I've done different detoxes. But now I know that really the best detox for me is water and, the green powders in my smoothies and just natural foods, whole foods.
That's,
That's where I do the best.
That's my homework from the new doctor up in Lansing. He's changing my diet because he's like, what's your diet? I go, oh, I was doing celery juice and got my cholesterol down in the normal level. And he goes, you were? I go, well, I was trying to figure out what was causing my sweating. So I stopped all my, any supplements, nothing. I don't take anything. And we were trying to figure out, but then my eating went off the road because of the birthdays and the summer here on the lake. And I go, my eating's off the chart bad. And he goes, what about drinking? I go, oh yeah, we've been drinking all month. He's like, how often? I go, oh yeah, like every day we're drinking. He's like, you've been drinking every day of August? I go, pretty much, yeah. We've had company all August. Yeah. So it's all coming to a screeching halt now. But that's why I like this doc, sends me off with a book about like raising your fiber. And it's just more about changing your health and your diet and everything you're ingesting and get healthy instead of taking pills.
Yes. And, even detox pills or whatever, just doing the diet thing. And water, is really underrated, I think, for people. They just don't drink enough water. And that's one of the key things to let your body naturally detox the stuff out of your system. So
you've only been 2 years then?
Yes.
Wow. So everything went away for you or almost everything?
No, I have a lot of health issues and I don't honestly know what exactly everything else is attributed to.
Right.
But like I said, I had autoimmune issues before. So when I had my breast implants in, my flare-ups were, I thought I was dying every single time. Now I'm back to normal flare-ups. I never thought I'd be so thankful for just a regular flare-up or hot flash or a little bit of sweat at night. It's a huge difference. And, a lot of things like overstimulation to noise, temperatures, lights, that's improved a little bit. I still have a lot about that problem, but it's so much better than it was before. And when people say, how do you know your breast implants are making you sick? Like, well, you know what? My blood pressure went from 200 over 100 to 120 over 60 within months of having them out. That along with the no shingles anymore after having them 2 to 3 times a year, which is not normal for shingle patients. Not normal at all.
Right.
That alone, even if nothing else had improved, I would have been satisfied that, yeah, you know what? My breast implants were bad for me. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, I'm 100% convinced they were bad for me. And there are people who say, well, you can't tell for sure. Well, no, I guess I can't. I don't have a crystal ball, but like you said, the blood pressure went back to normal. The cholesterol went back to normal. The weight all came off. The weight, I don't battle my weight anymore. I went from 120 pounds to 198 pounds with those implants in because of the inflammation. Now I don't even battle weight. It just sits here and it's like it was before I put them in. I'm back to normal again. My fear is women are going to leave them in thinking that they're not reacting to them. And maybe they're getting, like I call them silent ticking time bombs. And you're making permanent damage. You're creating permanent damage is my fear. So that's my worry for women, but I mean, maybe not.
Yes.
They might not ever react.
And for me, I know I'm a small frame person and I will tell you that having those expanders, probably not, if I had just had implants, it probably wouldn't have caused the problem, but I had my chest literally smashed in like bowls. I mean, you know, totally smashed in. And I know a lot of women have questions about fat transfer, and I have a different case for fat transfer. I didn't want really to reconstruct a boob necessarily, like little lumps or something would be great. If I was blessed with that, I don't care. But once I got in there for my explant, I had already had tissue damage from my cancer, and I didn't have a lot of tissue left. And then I had capsular contraction on that side. So my tissue was literally, it kind of looked like it was dying. It didn't look right. It was kind of like the rest of my zombie skin, that pale look that a lot of us get, the red eyes, and you look like you haven't slept in like a week, kind of like this light shining on my face. You're really washed out. And I had that kind of look to my chest, but it was a lot worse. And I'm losing my train of thought. That's another problem.
Yeah, that most of that went away from me, but I still lose my train of thought every now and then, but it's mostly my diet. But yeah, that was awful, the losing your train of thought. Did yours get really bad? I hate brain dead.
Oh yeah, like driving to the wrong appointment, driving to a parking lot and going, I don't know where I'm going. And so now I actually put the business card of the doctor. If I'm going to an appointment, if I have to drive myself, it goes right into my dash. So if I have a moment, I don't freak out and beat myself up that I don't remember. I go, aha, you know what? I have it right here because I was prepared for this.
Right into your dash?
Yes, right in the dash of my van. I'll put the business card.
Oh, there you go.
Because I still have bad moments, but yeah, I
have to write everything down.
Women with the fat transfer. See, I did good. I got back. The thing is, for me, I had so much damage that I really didn't have any tissue left. And so I also have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue disease. My connective tissue, my collagen is just kind of garbage. I'll say that, when you're young, you're really hypermobile. And then when you're older, you're still hypermobile, but you break and bend and come out of socket on a regular basis.
Wow.
So I had a mess up here. And so my surgeon, I told her, I said, I know you're going to be working with a mess, but get these out. I need to have the capsule out. I'm too sick. I feel like I'm dying. And I have to have a perfect M block. If you can, an all human, reaches, get this done as best to your ability. And she did a beautiful M block. And what happened is I had adhesion to my ribs. So on this side where it was the worst, it actually stuck to my ribs. Wow. And so I literally, I tried to get out of fat transfer, but my skin it had no fat tissue or blood supply. So it was literally kind of dying and getting necrotic. And so for my case, I had read stories about lumpy fat transfer or, it all dies away. And so for me, I thought, well, the point is to get it off my ribs and to hopefully get some blood flow in there. And so we did that. And I will say that the liposuction for fat transfer, I had to have it throughout my thighs. It is literally the most painful thing I've ever done in my life with all the 20 some surgeries I've done. Very painful and my legs are all still bruised. Oh girl. And that's why when people say, what about fat transfer? That sounds like a great idea. And I'm like, wait, how much does this mean to you? And know what you're getting into, because those, same kind of thing when you get breast implants, we'll do a little surgery and blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, you're recovered. No, it's not quite that easy because a lot of people do have fat necrosis, and it doesn't always just die and carry off into the body. You get nice little lumps that are similar to the lumps that I had for my cancer. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of, it's almost traumatic.
I praise God for all these support pages, because when I was thinking maybe when I pull them out, I should do a fat transfer, like all these women were talking about it. And I went to the fat transfer support pages, and I saw the negatives that people, some people raving, they loved it. But then there were the negatives, and I thought, I'm the one that always reacts to everything, and everything goes bad. Like every time I go down the rabbit hole, it gets messed up, and I got to stay away from it. And so I changed my mind and didn't do it. And I was so glad that I didn't do it.
I'm so happy that you didn't, just because, I've had to do it. I had to do it once just to get all the tissue off there, and we couldn't get enough in there. Because I'm a very small person. So I have to do it again. You
have any fat to take off your body.
No, it sucks. I was like, I like my ass. don't touch my butt, but they had to get it from somewhere. So they got it from my legs. And like I said, it was very painful, but the first time it got most of the skin unadhered from my ribs. The second time I can say I'm not adhered to my ribs at all. My skin looks normal. It's warm.
Yay.
It has blood flow already. So all that pain and everything is worth it to have my skin not be necrotic up in this area because it was adhered to my ribs. And I know I've heard of more and more people saying that they've had some adhesions to their ribs when they've had under the muscle implants. And I will say that cupping was probably the best thing as far as therapy.
Really?
Yes.
You do cupping?
I did for about, I think it was over a year and a half. My PT office actually offers it. And that's why I went there.
Have you ever heard of cupping lowering blood pressure?
No, I haven't. But, I know I thought I felt pretty good after having it, just in general. I
Really?
don't know exactly why.
So it pulls what is it doing?
Well, for me, I know a lot of people, they do it for the blood flow, pulling that blood flow up there. For me, it was actually to kind of rip that skin off my ribs. So they were putting that on there. And then when they pull it off, they kind of go around a little extra as they pulled it off and then bring that skin up. And, looking back at pictures, it was a long road, but it really helped a lot. And without that, I wouldn't have been able to get that fat transfer necessarily to get the tissue healthy.
So they're basically, it's like a suction cup, wow.
Yeah, like a little dome suction cup. They put it out, they kind of screw this little thing and pop it off, leave it there for a while. That
Like what's a while? How long did they leave them on?
It seems like it was only about 15 minutes or so for me. And it worked really well for my adhesions. I will say that it was not comfortable at all. It was very painful, being that it was right on the ribs, especially. But if women are looking for something to remove those adhesions with hopefully not having to have surgery, it's definitely something that made a difference for me.
Interesting. I never would have thought of cupping.
Yeah, who knew? That's why my plastic surgeon actually sent me there. So, this guy he's wonderful for post-explant patients and breast cancer patients. And he was really kind of a wizard. That was at, I think it was I had to look at some performance over in Grand Rapids, a physical therapy place, but it did work a lot.
You don't have to mention your doctor, but do you want to say who you used? You don't have to.
I will, because she had a mess of a surgery to take on, having me as a patient. I had a hard time with my other surgeon and let him go. And she did amazing things for me. She did a beautiful M block, and it was Dr. Timic. And, I know not, you hear different reviews for different doctors. And everybody kind of likes their own doctor. I think it's Timic. It might be Timic.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I've heard it pronounced different ways. And so when I'm in there, I'm not really sure exactly how she pronounces it, but she's a wonderful lady with a lot of knowledge and experience. I shopped around a lot. I looked at Dr. Khan, who is wonderful, or whatever, I just known about him, and a few other Michigan surgeons, but they had such a long waiting list. And I honestly did not think I was going to live. Right.
Where is Timic, or I'm not sure. We apologize if we're not saying your name right, doctor.
Oh, sorry, Dr. Timic. I'll say Dr. Timic. It's in Grand Rapids. And it's actually on Burton Street. And she has since explanted some of my friends as well. And yes, and they were very happy with what she did for them. And she's very perfectionist. She's a perfectionist, which I was in dentistry too. And so for me, that was very important. And as soon as she looked at me, she said, you're obviously having a reaction. You honestly look like you're allergic to your breast implants or something. And I said, thank you. I've been saying this all along. And she looked at my breast, she looked at my breast, but she looked at my health history. And, I had like a bag of, one of many. And she started looking at everything. And she said, there's no doubt in my mind that, these are causing an inflammatory reaction for you. So I said, let me see what you've done. And I did a lot of research on her, and I just really clicked with her personality. And I would highly recommend her.
Will she do a lift? Do you know? At
You
the,
know,
at
I
the
don't know if
same
she does
time
it at the
on
same
block?
time. I know a lot of people ask about that.
You don't know?
No, I don't know. I'm not sure. She might have been the one that said that sometimes she doesn't feel like it's necessary.
Right. I had a lift and honestly, I don't think I should have waited to see where they landed, my breasts, what they looked like, and then gone back if I really couldn't stand it. I wish I had not done the lift at the same time, a lot of
They
times.
definitely change as you heal, things definitely shift.
Don't get me wrong, my breasts look beautiful. They look like I'm 20. I'm just saying, I wonder what they would have looked like if I hadn't done that. I mean, what would they might have been just as beautiful. I don't know. So I would recommend waiting on a lift anyway, but to each their own. I didn't wait.
I agree. I know, I had a friend that I took for surgery not that long ago, and she was so excited. She showed me as soon as I got her home. She's like, "We got to look at them." And she didn't have cancer. She had some beautiful breast implants, and I could not believe how beautiful her chest was.
And she went to your doctor?
No, she actually went. She went to Novi, but not Dr. Khan. I would have
To another doctor in Novi?
it was close to Novi. Yeah. I would actually have to look it up, and I could share that maybe in comments.
So we have another doctor? Is it one from the list?
I don't know that he's on the list. I know she just, that's who she was working with, and she called me to take her to her surgery, and I was more than happy to take her there, but I can look that up.
Well, yeah,
I don't,
add the doctor to the list.
I will. Yeah, I know.
I don't, my list for anyone out there, my doctor's list, I don't sit there and interview these doctors. These doctors are on the list because somebody in Michigan or somebody has used them for an en bloc and said they did great. That's why they're on the list. So do your own homework is what I tell everyone. I don't recommend
Absolutely.
it. I just tell you to do your own homework. Here's a list of doctors that we know do en bloc in the state of Michigan. And
Yes,
so,
and check out 3 doctors that do en bloc that are well known for en bloc, and see who gives you the best vibe, quite honestly, because some people don't have the bedside manner that will click with you,
yeah,
even though they have the
we
skills.
have another doctor then. Okay, I'm looking at Facebook and it says Fam Phillips late. I don't know what that means. Fam Phillips, now it's too late. I wish I had a small lift. Now, maybe that's what she's talking about.
Mm.
And then she said for the cupping. I don't know what you're saying, Fam. I don't really understand what her comments. Do you? I think
I'm not
maybe
sure,
if
but
we saw them pop up while we were talking, we'd know what.
yeah, maybe we'll see them again here, or she can clarify a little bit in her comment, and be happy to answer anything.
So what issues remain for you?
Well, I was actually diagnosed with a cognitive problem with traumatic brain injury. And I was hit in the head multiple times. I've been in a car accident where I hit the windshield. I've been hit with softballs. I've been hit with a softball bat. I've broke my face and sinus in my nose in a sledding accident. So I've had a lot of blunt force trauma to my head, but I never thought in any day of my life that I would have been diagnosed with something like that.
How'd they find that?
I went to a neurological doctor at MSU, and I was going more to get a referral to a balance therapy clinic because I still have balance issues and vertigo issues, which could be a vagus nerve issue. We're looking into it. I don't know. But so I'm still dealing with that. And I went there, and it turned into this exam, and he said that, I will say this, because he said, "I will tell you, I'm sick of cleaning up those oncologist messes." And he said, obviously you are somebody that was a contributor to society. You worked in the dental field for over 20 years. And he said, and you can't do basic math. I don't have good retention yet for reading. So I can read something, but I'd have to read that page again and again and again. So it's very frustrating because I have a library in my basement, basically, of all the books that I love. And I really have a hard time reading and writing. So I went there for that, for a balance therapy. And I was diagnosed with early dementia and cognitive, impairment.
Do like a scan or anything of some sort?
I have had scans, and I went to so many different specialists trying to get these things better. And like I said, vagus nerve issue might be why I still have balance issues. I don't know. No, I don't know if it was my breast implants or the chemo that wrecked my ear. As soon as I started my chemo, had tinnitus, and I have every form of tinnitus that you can think of. And, I blamed it on chemo initially because they say it can be cytotoxic and harm the hairs in your ears, and that can impair your hearing. Well, it's just gotten worse. And the more I'm in breast implant illness groups, I hear so many women that say they have these issues in one ear. And some people say it goes away after they explant. Mine has not gotten better. I actually have hearing loss now, and I wear a hearing aid that has a white noise feature that helps kind of mask the white noise kind of tinnitus. It doesn't get the screeches and the kind of thing, but it does help. But the more I see it in breast implant illness groups, I'm starting to wonder if that's another side effect actually of my breast implants. I guess we won't know.
I had terrible tinnitus and went to the doctor twice, and they said, your hearing's just fine. And I'm like, it's like I have tree frogs in my head really loud all the time. And then all of a sudden you'd get this in your head, and I'd be like this. And my husband's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, do you hear that high pitched noise? And he's like, no. I said, so that's not on the TV. And I'd be muting the TV. And I'm like, is it the television itself? And he never, and now that's gone too. My head ringing is all gone.
Oh,
that can drive you.
I'm so happy for you.
That can drive you insane though. That's awful.
I when I talked to my counselor a couple of times, I said, do some people come in here just losing their mind from the noise in their head?
Yes.
Because sometimes I feel like if I'm in a conversation, especially in a very noisy place,
oh yeah,
that noise can almost interrupt you from what you're doing and listening to. And I know there's some times I've probably had an expression on my face like I had a bomb go off in my head, but it kind of felt like I did. And so there's the tinnitus. I have balance issues. My blood pressure, hopefully I'll be done with that. But I have a lot of issues joint wise that aren't probably due to my breast implants. I think it was exacerbated by it because, like I said, all the autoimmune and inflammatory things went into like 500% overload with breast implants. So some of my stuff I was dealing with before, and I think it just made it worse.
I am listening to you. I'm trying to see if there was any more questions. So now you feel much better, not
Yes.
perfect, but much better. And now you've been a busy little girl. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
So very proud of you guys. And I feel so fortunate that you guys keep including me in all of this Michigan legislation stuff, because like half the time I'm having short-term memory issues too. So if I don't write things down, I'm in trouble. So yeah, and I miss all kinds of meetings and stuff. It's awful. I've left people in restaurants and stuff waiting for me. Oops, I forgot. So I actually have to write it down, and then I try to do a backup, but then I ignore my phone because there's so much chirping going on my phone that I ignore stuff. Yes. Yeah, it's a little overwhelming, but
you're doing great.
Well, but you guys are kicking some major butt. Do you want to tell people what you're about it?
I'm super excited
to
be working on this informed consent for breast implants
and tell
in
them
Michigan.
Tell them why we need this informed consent, because I don't think people realize that how we landed here. We're told they're safe. We were told they were safe. Most of us were told they were safe by our doctors.
Absolutely. And repeatedly told they were safe. And so I know for me and some women coming out with their surgery now that there's a black box warning, they're still not getting the black box warning.
That's right.
What's wrong with this picture? After talking to somebody that is in the surgical field, they concurred with me. The patient doesn't see that.
Right.
They're unconscious on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we need more than a black box warning. Women are still coming into cancer groups, miserable in their expanders, or, geez, I don't think I really want these implants. It's kind of painful, asking questions and not knowing about BII, being told from their doctors that, a lot of women online are talking about these things. It's kind of a trend. Okay. I can guarantee you it's not a trend, and it's no fun surgery to go through.
Yeah, who wants to remove your breasts that you paid like 5 to 10 grand for to have these beautiful breasts? Do you think this is a trend we want to join the bandwagon and remove those? Really?
Hell no. People, especially
Really?
people that didn't go through cancer, I could totally see where you're like, "Oh, please don't be my breasts. You know,
Right.
please let this be something else." I went through that denial, you know, and I had cancer. You know, I'm like, oh, it's got to be this. It can't be. Oh God, I don't want to do this surgery again. Please, Jesus, don't make it my breast implants. And guess what? It was totally worth getting them out.
I know. But you know
But
what?
we
That's
need this
what he was doing.
legislation.
He needed you on the front lines with us. That's why it happened to us.
You know, everything
He
happens
knew
for a reason,
he
right?
knew we were loud enough to come forward and would not sit down and take this.
Yes. And, you know, there's so many women that are fighting silently. I just can't sit back. And I'm not one of those people that had a miracle cure. You know, I still have issues going on. We're not all perfect, and you can't expect perfection. Every one of us heals at a different rate. But these
Right.
women, when they go in, they need to know that this can happen. And they're not knowing this. They're not getting this information, as you know. And so informed consent would make it mandatory for these doctors to sit down, you know, go over a checklist, go over these things that are not rare, are not few and far between, are not an internet trend. They're very real. And once they go through this checklist, especially if they have autoimmune disease or they already have problems that are causing them pain or discomfort or inflammation, they can, you know, think about it again or a little bit harder or do more research. Even if they still get them, they deserve to know what they might be in for.
Right.
Because I can honestly say that breast implant illness was worse than going through chemotherapy with my cancers. And that is a big statement because it was hell. And I know other women are going through the same thing. Not everybody, but they are. So, you know, if I was a mom and my daughter was out and about and thought, you know, I really want to improve my self-esteem and this might do it, whatever the reason, if she goes out on her own and goes to a surgeon, I want her to be informed. And that's not asking a lot, especially when there is a black box warning and the FDA acknowledges that these things can be caused by breast implant illness.
Right.
So we're really excited here in Michigan. We're happy to have you on board too. And I actually just put another call in to Julie Callie's office today, trying to get an update on where we're at. I know they're really busy, but we're definitely moving forward. And, you know, I look forward to making it a law. And, you know, it doesn't step on people's toes.
No,
I'm
it
all
doesn't.
about choice.
It protects them. It's going to protect the doctors as
Yes.
well as the patient. I mean, I don't know any doctor why they would stand in the way of this or be offended by this because you have so many thousands of women saying, my doctor never warned me. You never warned me. Or these doctors don't know. A lot of them really, truly don't know about this because they're not taught this in medical school, and they just don't believe this, or they just don't even know about it. But, oh, I just brain farted on you. But so this will protect the doctor, because then you won't be able to come back to the doctor and say, hey, look, you know what, that was pretty crappy of you. You never warned me. I've been to specialist after specialist. So it'll protect them and the patient.
Yes,
So I don't know
it's a
why
huge
anybody would stand
protection.
in the way.
Right. And well, when I went back to my initial plastic surgeon with a letter of how I felt and questions for him, you know, I did tell him, you know, women deserve to know, and it might not affect them. Even better, you know, I hope it doesn't affect them. They get breast implants. I hope they live a long, happy life. But the fact that this can happen, you know, you have a moral responsibility and as an oath of do no harm to let your patient know
That's
that
right.
this could happen, and to know, hey, you know what? Okay, this patient decided that it wasn't right for them because they have underlying health conditions. You know what? We both might have dodged a bullet here. Let's see what else we can do. You know, I know some people like the fat transfer, and I have seen good results with it. I don't know long term, but there are things that are less invasive than, you know, using breast implants. And to be informed and have those choices, whether it's breast implants or some other kind of augmentation or nothing at all, you know,
Right.
that's really the most important thing. And if we can kind of keep on blazing this trail with Robin, who started this in Arizona, and just kind of go state to state to state with all these other warriors, you know, I think that will make a difference statewide, but also, you know, that impact will hopefully do something federally. to make sure that women know what is going into their bodies and what might happen as a reaction.
Yeah. So your cannabis stuff, what do you do with cannabis? Are you with like an organization or anything? Or like,
I'm not really with the organization. I just was helping patients prior to my cancer.
so you
I had
cannabis to get through your chemo and your cancer. What does it do? It gets rid of nausea and pain?
yes, definitely nausea, pain, insomnia.
Are you saying you can smoke a joint or whatever and it gets rid of pain, like surgery pain? Like actually,
I don't say
it works like an Oxycontin.
It doesn't for me. That doesn't for me. I think, there's so many different kinds of cannabis medicinals. What I would do prior to cancer, I had migraines that would knock me right unconscious, sick, horrible every month. I got rid of them with eating edibles per
Really?
recommendation of my gynecologist at Sparrow Hospital in Lansing.
Really?
Yes. She said that a lot of women, they had menstrual migraines, were charting it and pre-medicating their migraines. And I literally had my migraines gone within 3 months after years of being sick, missing weddings, missing funerals, just because it would take me out 3 to 4 days just with the migraine. So that got me into cannabis. And I was just like, obviously my system needed these endocannabinoids, which we have an endocannabinoid system as humans, mammals have them. Yeah, there's actually receptors that they're kind of made to join up with cannabis. And so I started helping cancer patients after I discovered multiple people that were using cannabis oil extraction, full extract cannabis oil to treat their actual cancer, not just their symptoms. Alyssa Irwin, Landon Riddle is a little boy. He's one of the first guys that, beat his cancer with cannabis. His mom actually took him out of state.
Can I ask a dumb question? I'm naive to all this. So is cannabis, so the plant, you get the plant, and so you're saying you're taking the leaf and extracting the oil out of it. Do you get high off that oil, or is it just the bud that people smoke that gets you high? Does the leaf, does that stuff get you high too, this cannabis oil?
Not so much. The buds are what you want to use for the oil anyways, preferably.
So this oil you're putting in your smoothies, it doesn't get you high or buzzed. It's just,
no,
just for health.
That's actually just cannabis juice from all those extra leaves, not the bud part. And so those are totally not psychoactive. There's no THC activated in there.
I have a friend who sells and grows for a living.
Oh,
I wonder what he's doing with his leaves. If I could take his leaves,
it would be
oil out of
juicing them. If you look up cannabis juicing, and it has so many benefits at the cellular level for so many reasons, but there's so many different kinds. I would do the juicing, but then with cancer, I use the oil, and I hit it hard. I had donations of oil when I was diagnosed from a friend that has a company that is very generous and blesses so many people. And so I was very lucky, but I had reduction in my tumors before I had my double mastectomy from my ultrasound biopsy measurements.
Shut up.
Seriously. Yeah. So my general surgeon, he just said, I know what you're doing, whatever you're doing, just keep it up. He said, I'm so happy for you. And you're still going through cancer, but I had a reduction, and we didn't know as much as we know now about cannabis. And so I knew it was working for me. And so I stuck with it and had it every day. There's actually a 60 grams in 90 days regimen that they prefer to send patients to, but I think they start them at too high of a regimen, and people need to start at a very teeny tiny microdose when they use oil, because like you said, it can make you buzzed up, even give you like trippy feelings if you're somebody that's never had cannabis. So I always say, go low and go slow, because if you have a bad experience and you don't want to medicate anymore, this medicine is going to do nothing for you.
So like CBD oil, my mom would take CBD oil every day for her knee pain, and it got rid of her knee pain. She had bone on bone knee pain, and she said it took it away.
Oh,
just
wonderful.
Regular CBD oil with no THC in it.
It's anti-inflammatory.
Yep.
And the carrier oils are good to take too. A lot of times they're in olive oil or coconut oil, and those are good to ingest too. So it's really good stuff. And there's so much more than just THC and CBD. There's CBDN, CBD or CBG. There's so many different versions. They got this Delta 8 stuff you see in the news, whatever. But for me, it's all about medicine. So oil for the cancer. And I say, supplement it with tinctures and, whether it's edibles or teas, there's so many different extractions that you can use for cannabis medicinals. But the pain I found in concentrates, the pain relief. When I had surgeries, it was very limited. When I first started my surgeries, they would give me enough meds to get by maybe 3 days, with pain meds. Because a lot of times I'd be operated top and bottom at the same time. And the last few years, they give me 10 pain pills and that's it. And that's, a couple days. And so I would get into concentrates, which is another extraction. It's not cannabis oil, but it's just a different extraction. And it has a different body to it. Sometimes it looks like honey almost. Sometimes it's a little bit darker. It could be kind of like glass, or it could be crumbly, almost like a big bowl of pollen. But you heat that up and you vaporize it. And that's where I had my pain relief. Cannabis, not so much. It's just smoking like a joint.
What?
That's where I got my pain relief.
Pain relief.
Whole body pain relief was with extractions. And for people that aren't, cannabis knowledgeable or whatever, haven't been around for it, but are interested, you don't have to get some kind of elaborate device set up to vaporize concentrates from cannabis. You can get these little pens, and they're not necessarily vape pens, but they're a pen that heats up, and you can put that concentrate right on there, and you can just puff on it like if it was a regular vape pen or something. But it's just vaporizing those concentrates, so it doesn't have that other stuff in there. And it really works well for pain. Edibles work really good for body pain. And again, you have to go low and slow. If you're somebody that hasn't had an edible, you don't just go eat an edible and expect to have a great experience.
The edibles will get you stoned, right? Oh, well, they're probably both edibles then. I'm assuming there's CBD edibles that don't have any THC too. I'm sure they have both, right?
Yep. Yeah, they have a little bit of everything now. And with edibles, a lot of times people can totally eliminate their insomnia, which is wonderful. So it could be a little itty bitty 5 milligram gummy that tastes like fruit and you eat it before you go to bed. And it's kind of like melatonin, but bonus, it helps with pain as well. So if you're somebody that suffers from a little bit of pain, edibles are great. And, basically.
I'd rather smoke pot than drink. I'll tell you that.
Well,
I'd much rather smoke pot or eat an edible than have alcohol. Alcohol is so damaging to your body.
I feel like I'm poisoning myself every time I have it. Because I used to like to drink. And I like sake now and then. I still like it, but I feel like hell, and I have like redness in my face,
and I
just feel like poop.
Yes,
yeah, and I get loaded.
I told my husband, I go, I feel like I just ran my Lamborghini through the mud. I'm drinking rocket fuel. It's like, and then I feel like crap for a couple of days after I've had alcohol. I go, it needs to be eliminated out of my diet. I think it's not good for me.
Even if you smoke it, it doesn't mean you have to sit there and have a whole smoke. You can have a couple little puffs and put it away.
Yeah.
And there's so many different strains. You can get a get up and go strain that you want to go out and mow your lawn, or if you just want to relax, or if you want to go to bed, there's a strain pretty much for everything. And even with smoking, I always tell people, moderation is key. So if you're new, I welcome you to go to my website, firstlightofhealingway.com. And there's actually posts in there about being somebody that's new to cannabis medicinals, and kind of like, I call it cannabis for dummies, where it'll walk you through with pictures what things are and what you can expect from each different type of medicinal.
Yeah. We got some for my mom. We went to the pot store and got some for my mom to try to help her sleep because she was having trouble sleeping. And so she took one hit and I thought she was going to die. She started coughing so bad. And
oh no.
She had a bad heart. And I'm like, oh God, don't go dying on me. How am I going to explain that one that I gave you pot and you died?
God forbid.
I know. So she's like, get this out of here. I'm not going to do it. So of course I went up and smoked it and slept like a rock. And
Oh,
I
good
hadn't
for
been able
you.
to sleep either because of the menopause and oh my God, it put me out cold. But then, so then I kept trying it each night, but then it's almost like I became immune to it. And so it doesn't knock me out now.
You do build a tolerance. Many
Okay.
people build a tolerance very quickly. And so that's when I tell people that are cancer patients, don't freak out about the side effects if you feel a little medicine heavy or need some sleep, because it will go away. Like
Yeah.
you said, it doesn't take too long usually for a tolerance to build up and you don't notice that so much.
I had sleeping pills from Costa Rica for my surgery. My surgery was down in Costa Rica. And so they were all in Spanish. So we're Googling the thing, and it says it could cause you to not be able to create new memories. That's exactly what it said. And I go, what's that mean? Do you think I'm going to black out? And I blacked out within 11 minutes. I was in a full blackout. I don't remember anything. My husband's like, you don't remember a thing? He goes, oh my God. I go, I don't remember a thing. And I woke up at 3 a.m. on the sleeping pill, went out cold and woke up again at 3 a.m. It's like clockwork every night at 3 a.m. I don't know if it's from getting up at 3 a.m. like to go to work all those years. I don't know.
Yeah, I get up usually, even if I go back to sleep, I usually get up about 4:30 in the morning for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Maybe I'll start taking her leftover CBD oil that's in the house. Maybe I'll just
Try it out and see what you think. I tell people, take a big dropper and take a few deep breaths and
watch my
just
sweating
enjoy.
stop.
That would be wonderful.
Hilarious.
It's so weird because with CBD, I hear some people say this works for me, and then this doesn't work for me. I hear so many different stories about success with CBD, but it's not the same all the way across the board. It's not at all. It does different things for different people. And again,
And
it
now
comes
the
back to the
government
endocannabinoid system being balanced. A lot of people that have deficiency have lupus and autoimmune disease. So
really? So
yep.
you're seeing people who are deficient in the what are you calling it? Cannabinoid?
Endocannabinoids. You can Google it.
Cannabinoids?
Yes, cannabinoids.
Cannabinoids. So you're saying they have found people who have lupus and autoimmune diseases are lacking in cannabinoids?
A lot of people that find good results from eating cannabis medicinals have good results with those problems. Wow. So you should look at, the government has patents. It's a neuroprotectant. Cannabis is.
It now the government's involved.
Yes, they've already ruined a lot of things for me. I usually help patients and I will have a ton of stuff on hand from different caregivers. I can hook them up with a caregiver that will either discount all their oil or gift them all their oil, which is very generous. And now that legalization with the old rec thing has happened, it's just about impossible to get somebody to be able to do this. And luckily I have, they call them oil shiners, that are still old school guys that make oil themselves and do a very good job at it and donate it to patients. So I'm so blessed to have connections because I've still, to this day, I still hook up cancer patients with people to get them their medicine. I don't tell them what to do because I feel like it's very personal, but
it isn't a job.
They need it. People need this information.
So you're not getting paid for helping all these people.
No. And, sometimes I feel like I'm living in cancer land and I think maybe I should stop doing this because I can't live in cancer breast implant land all the time.
That's what I feel like. I had to step back and not I was in everybody's face every day. And I'm like, you know what? No, I'll keep doing these. And I'm done screaming from the top of my lungs every day in everybody's face, but I'm not going to leave.
People only listen to what they want to listen to. And, I just helped a couple that are so sweet, stage 4 cancer patient. And, I always feel, my heart goes out to them because I've been in similar shoes, but I know how it is to be so lost and be in a sea of information that you don't know is right or wrong. Yeah. And to have somebody that's went through a similar path tell you what might or might not work, what works for people that are out 15, 20 years from their cancer without doing chemo, like Nansen iodine, vitamin D, vitamin C. There's so many different things. It arms them with something that's priceless.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times when they contact me, it's unfortunately not at the beginning of things. It's when they're losing hope.
Right.
And so to give somebody a little more hope, and it's truthful hope, and then to see people, 2 or 3 years later after helping them, having clear PET scans every year instead of having dirty PET scans every year, it drives me to help everybody that sends me a message anywhere.
Oh, it does keep you going, doesn't it?
It does. And, to know, hey, you know what, we're having good luck with this. Hey, you know what, she got her appetite back. She gained 15 pounds, or she's sleeping now. Those alone, that alone, that's quality of life. And to me, that is way more important than anything else.
And so you created that website. Is that how people are finding you? Because you're helping all these people. How are they finding you? Are they going to that website that you gave me the link to?
They do go to the website, but usually it's word of mouth. And it might be through my cancer group or a survivor group or somewhere I've spoke, or the website. They'll message me, and I'm open to getting messages on the website. It's a good place to do it because I personally get messages in my inbox. Sometimes it'll be a week, it'll be every day. And sometimes, it might be a couple times a week, but it's just a really good reference for me to take and give to people the information without feeling like they have to go to somebody right away. They're going to be armed a little bit already. And then the fact that, they're not alone is another thing. But
right.
Also, when people contact me and have basic questions and are kind of newbies to all this, which most everybody is, nobody wants to be diagnosed with cancer or have breast implant illness. And so to have that there, it takes a lot of weight off me mentally. So I'm not introducing the egg to the chicken. They're prepared already.
Yeah. And plus, it's a lot to absorb when your head is spinning. And so to have a website there that they can keep going back and looking at, because it's just like, what did she tell me? At least it's all right there.
It's too much information to take at one time. And so I do tell people, if you're going to talk to somebody or go to your doctor, take a notepad and write things down, because it doesn't do you any good if you don't remember. And it's a lot of information. So if you can go to the website, you can even print it out and save pages of reference. There's a support systems page on there, and it has links and websites and Facebook groups for breast implant illness and for breast cancer, cancer in general, cannabis medicinals, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And so that kind of gives people a little footing too. There are websites that you don't just find. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some things you don't just find when you look for it. So I try to put it out there so people don't feel lost, basically.
And we'll put the link, but tell everybody what it is.
Yes, firstlightahealingway.com.
Okay.
And like I said, you can message me on there and I'll get back to you. I don't check it every single day because, like I said, I don't like to live in cancer land or breast implant illness land, but I definitely get back and I will respond back to you. And I'll be happy to help out. I know Nicole's group is wonderful and have so much information. So I actually have a link on my page to hers, but there's a lot of breast implant information on there as well, just because, especially with breast cancer, it kind of goes hand in hand the way that they promote breast implants. So,
and for anyone who's wondering who Nicole is, Nicole Deruda started probably, I don't know if it was the first, I don't know if it was the first support page. We'll say it was one of the first, maybe. And it's the one that I call it the big page. And it's got, at last check, over 150,000 women on it, I think. And that's where my friend Annette landed on that Facebook page and learned about her breast implant illness and then told me. Otherwise, I don't know if I'd still be alive if I had not met Annette and she told me, honestly.
Well, Tracy, I feel the same way about you because, I had mine out in August of 2019. And when I was firing my other doctor and looking into all these things, you guys were there in Washington doing your thing. And I was like, God damn it, this is real. And it just made me get a fire so much stronger than I had before. And I'm so glad I did, because I don't know, like I said, I don't know if I'd be here either. So, a big shout out to you ladies. I have mad respect for you because you're still saving people.
How'd you find out? Was it just, did you see videos playing or something?
I Googled breast implant illness and there was a group picture of you guys that came up in an article. And so then I went down the rabbit hole, and it was a great rabbit hole to go down for me. You know, sometimes it's not good, but I really found a lot of great information and wonderful people that were strong enough to speak their story and get the truth out there. And like, I'm sure you feel like if we can save one person, even just, you know, the ongoing, you know, if they can shorten their misery even, or prevent it altogether, then that's great.
My whole speech, I ended up dumping it halfway through, and because nobody was talking about suicide, and I had suicidal depression when I had the implants in, and I have not had it since over 3.5 years, and it's all gone. And so, but nobody was talking about it. So I said, the reporters in the room should be doing a story on that, on how many women have committed suicide with breast implants in. And then somebody told me you're 3 chances more likely to commit suicide with breast implants in. So they definitely messed with your mind, your body, and your soul.
I definitely believe that.
There's no other explanation. And then someone said, well, you cleaned up your diet. That's why because we were eating vegan right before my surgery and after, because I was reacting to so many foods. Well, that's because you cleaned up your diet that you're feeling so well. No, my diet's been off the rail since surgery. Like it's bad. And I'm not getting sick anymore from, you know, I mean, I'll bloat from some foods, but not like before. But yeah. I don't know. How much memory loss do you think can be attributed to smoke, to the pot?
You know, I don't know, because I'll tell you that the days that I went like, I'm not going to smoke anything, I'm going to go to this thing, I almost feel like I have more memory lapses when I don't smoke. Maybe it's because I've had it in my system a long time. I don't feel stoned or anything when I smoke it. I just feel kind of relaxed and
okay. Yeah, I was
and
just curious.
So who knows, you know? And well, the thing was, is, you know, I didn't have any memory issues at all before, not at all.
I didn't either. I was, oh my God, I could multitask. Like I could be at a party and have a conversation with you. I mean, and be the one talking and know exactly what they're talking about behind me at the same time, because I was so used to listening to different things at my job and having to listen for cues on a different state, you know.
I bet.
And I was so sharp, and I turned totally brain dead, and now I still have memory issues.
Yeah, you know, it was interesting. You know, I multitask everything. What I didn't live not multitask, and I was always multitasking. I ran my local dental organization. I was every position of the board. I've always ran everything that I've done, quite honestly. At my old job, I was OSHA manager and would be training everybody. I kind of ruled the world as far as that went for the longest time. And so it's really a mental challenge to sit back. And even though there's times where you're fighting and you have these aspirations and you're just like, okay, you know, I can't beat myself up over it. It's just the way it is. And hopefully things will get better. And I'm working on it. Because I think we do that a lot as patients, beat ourselves up.
Oh yeah. I feel like I can't shift out of second gear is what I told him. So that's why he put me on hormones. So we'll see if that's it, but I don't know.
Well, hopefully you'll have some good luck.
You know.
Anything, you know, that gets better is good.
The first night I took the hormones, I sweated like so badly. It was like 3 times, 4 times as bad. It was all night profuse. After being on the hormones, it was worse. So I don't know if this is hormonal.
Oh no. That's so miserable. I feel for you, girl.
I know. I said, I don't know how I would work. Honestly, I don't, because sometimes it looks like I just stepped out of the shower. You'll see it dripping off of me. It'll just drip off of me. My face.
Now, do you feel like you get it in cycles though, too? Almost like a flare up still? Because I still get like a couple times a month. If I'm in the hot shower or if it's too hot out, I literally turn like purple and blue and red and can't breathe. I have to lay on the floor and.
No.
Okay, I'm just wondering because I still get it. You know, I used to have it almost every day. I felt like that. And so to have it a couple times a month, I'm like, thank you for letting me feel better. Every time I have a shitty day, I just give thanks for feeling better all the rest of them because.
Were you constantly ill? Like mine, I would be like down for the count. My husband would come home and I'm like, I couldn't even get out of bed. I was like, I have no energy, no muscle strength. like depressed. And then the next day I felt like $1,000,000. I could have cleaned every house on our street. I could have like, it was a mystery. And then the next day you're down for the count again. And I'm sure it's what I was eating and didn't know it. And that was like not helping. But did you go through that?
I did. And it seemed like my good days were almost like manic days.
Yes.
If you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And it was like,
Because
I
you feel so
almost
good.
couldn't
It's like,
control
oh,
it.
I feel good. Oh, I actually feel good. And I'd be like, and the house would get all
Yes.
clean and
Yeah. And it was very manic. It's a very manic feeling. I still will do that. You know, I'm getting ready for a surgery right now, my rotator cuff, and I'm nesting. And I don't know if you like, I've realized that I do that before every surgery I've had. I nest hard, just like if you were having kids,
really
running
well,
around,
I
getting
would
all this
start.
energy that I don't know where it come from, but I do pay for it.
Don't we all? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
Well, then, oh, go ahead.
oh no, go ahead.
Well, there's just, certain things. I know I see a lot of people get discouraged in groups and they worry about what they're going to look like and what they're going to wear. And I totally understand that.
I know.
And it takes a long time to get to the point where you're like, it's more important to be healthy,
Yep.
and to kind of take that step. But do know, it's a lot of changes, but finding something that fits you correctly, it can give you your sexy back.
Yeah.
You can get something similar or wear something underneath, maybe a tight cami or something underneath that you can feel a little more comfortable in your clothes. It's really depressing to go through your whole closet of things that you might have loved and you can't really wear any of them anymore.
Right.
So I get that, but it gets better. And some girls alter their clothes. Sometimes you can wear them backwards and it will fit you better. It sounded odd, but I did that and it really did make a difference. So, don't get hung up on that discouragement of worrying about what you're going to look like and what clothes are going to fit you, because you'll make it.
Yeah, it's a big you have to mentally prepare for this surgery. You really have to go in mentally prepared. Like we went in, I said, I didn't tell the doctor this. I told my husband, I don't care if I come out looking like a mastectomy patient at this point. I was just so sick. I thought I was dying. So we didn't care, and you have to go in saying, I don't care. I don't care.
Yes.
I don't care. I cannot care. Or you're going to wake up and be like, you have to expect the worst when you wake up. We expect the worst results.
Oh yeah. Well, especially I know even women that have had cancer, you're all smushed up in those binders and wrapped up. You have all those wrinkles from your wraps and binders and it's in your chest and it just looks like hell when you look at yourself half the time because you're smushed up, but everything kind of does its thing and you're not all wrinkly forever. And
some people are, some are.
Yeah, well, I just
sad.
It seems like when you first get out, I think a lot of people have a lot of anxiety, and believe me, I was not a pretty picture at all. Especially with the adhesions and stuff.
Right.
But it does, there are changes and things get better, and you do adapt, and mentally you do come into yourself again. Definitely, it might not be the same, and it might take you a long time, but just knowing that things were out of my body that were causing my blood pressure to be 210/110, that alone.
Right.
Like,
it's
good job.
I tell them it's life-saving surgery. This is not cosmetic surgery. It's life-saving. You have to know that going in.
It truly is.
It's not cosmetic.
It's if you're having symptoms, it's absolutely worth it.
Right.
Absolutely. And I had a lot of gaslighting from my doctor, and I still had gaslighting when I went back in to talk to him.
Really?
Yeah, well, stating that I was only maybe one or two. You know how many people have had problems. Half of them are in my breast cancer survivor group. I hear about it. They're not telling you. So I had the gaslighting even going back there, and it just women, you need to be strong and have a backbone when you get in there. Be prepared to be gaslighted. There's lots of doctors that do not do that. And there's so many wonderful doctors too. But be prepared. Be prepared for being told you're wrong. Mm-hmm. Being prepared for, things are in your head or, you're getting old, whatever.
Psychiatrist. because they couldn't
Yes.
find the pain in my back. And not once did I request pain meds because I don't do well with pain meds. I can't take pain meds. And so never once will you ever find a record of me asking for pain meds at a doctor's office. Yet they're still, they think that you're in here looking for them. They treat you like crap because they can't find anything wrong with you. And they just dismiss you. And the back pain's gone too. I've not had that one time since my surgery.
That's wonderful.
I thought I was going to have back surgery, but they couldn't find anything wrong to do surgery on. It felt like it was broken.
I'm so happy for you. People don't think about the weight distribution when you get, because I ended up having triple D chest, even though that's not what I wanted. That's what I got from my surgeon.
They put bigger ones in like they did with me, and you woke up bigger than you requested. Yes, that's very common.
I can't believe how many people have went through that. I said, I don't want to be anything over a C cup.
Right. That's what I
Well, we fill them.
Double D.
Yeah. Oh, triple D's. I'm like, triple D. I'm 110 pounds. Basically, I was a 125 with implants.
Yep.
And now I'm back to my regular weight. So that I had all that weight and inflammation in the pregnancy phase. I call it pregnancy phase because you get the swelling, just like the inflammation with pregnancy. But yeah, I'm having a brain fart now.
Oh, I just brain farted too. Aren't we a pair?
We're both doing it. Toot. It happens. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. And if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions. And I'm blessed to have you on our team and helping so many people and spreading awareness. So thanks for having me.
Well, now you know how bad my memory is. So you guys will be you've been very forgiving so far. Yeah, it's bad.
I understand completely.
But I'm hoping it'll go away when I change my diet.
Yeah, and there's different things like there's different mushrooms and things like that, supplements that you can take that help with brain function.
Like magic mushrooms?
Well, I've heard about those too, but there's actually supplements at the Better Health store too. They have there's turkey tail and lion's mane.
The mushroom powder that I keep seeing, is that what you're talking about?
I take it in a capsule, but it is a mushroom powder.
Huh.
And there's a lot of good studies about brain activity and your cognitive function with mushrooms. And
really?
So it's interesting. If you look up different things to help with cognitive problems, I take ashwagandha too, which helps a little bit as far as just kind of relaxing you a little bit too. But mushrooms are really magical, not just the kind that make you trip or psychedelic mushrooms. They're really good for you. And they're actually in a lot of anti-cancer regimens.
Really? I just ordered some for my husband that somebody recommended, and the ashwagandha.
It's good stuff. I swear I can tell when I take it.
In fact, I think it's sitting out there in Amazon boxes waiting for me right now. I'm sitting here staring at 2 boxes from Amazon.
Perfect. You can dive right in.
Yes, I'll let you know how that goes. Maybe I'll be taking it, not him.
It's all good stuff though.
Well, good. Well, so I'm super proud of you for all this stuff that you've done. I love that you started your own website and that you're helping people like that, and that you keep helping people, because that makes me feel good too. I like doing that too. It's just, it does become overwhelming, and you got to step back and take a deep breath. What's overwhelming is, especially you with cancer, but just all the sickness. They're all so sick, and it's heartbreaking, and then it becomes very overwhelming.
It does, because it's hard to not take on those feelings, and
I absorb it all. I sit there crying, reading their stories.
Yes,
it's awful. You can't not be affected by it. And
so while you're helping,
silent anymore either once you know this. So
well, and like we said, it's just as long as you don't stay there all the time.
Yeah, I know.
Take a mental break where you can be refreshed, and so you can help people at your best
I hired a coach because I was calling people the C word on a regular basis. Yeah. And poop. Yeah, that too. And so like our very first session, we're on a Zoom, and I'm like, well, blah, and he's like, stop. No negative. Well, stop. Everything's coming out. Everything that is coming out is negative. And I'm like, okay, well, but stop, Tracy, stop. So now I'm like, okay, only positive, only positive. I'm going to be more positive because it was driving me crazy. I was like stuck
Yes.
in negative land. It just took me down the rabbit hole and I was stuck in an emotional loop.
You're in BII land.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. So
Just
I'm
gotta-
trying to break free of that and be more positive so I can be more helpful to people instead of going out charging, calling people nasty names.
Yeah, well, and it's hard to get into a negative mode for sure, especially when you've had so many health issues.
I
And
know.
when
It's
people
hard not
have
to be
lied to
angry.
you know, the most important people treating you at your surgery, whether they were not aware or they didn't think it was real, essentially you weren't given information that was correct.
Right. You know, I woke up for my surgery. I was a C cup and I said, they're too big. I'd like to go smaller. And he said, you can't go smaller. You're going to have to go bigger. And I said, I don't want them any bigger. They're too big already. I would like smaller. I woke up a double D and he told me, go have fun with them.
Oh my God.
I was on television at the time. And so I couldn't button any of my jacket or suit jacket. I couldn't button it because they were so big. I couldn't wear any of my jackets. And then one day I wore a sweater on the air and you could see my nipples through it. So I started trying to hide and of course on TV, they look huge. They looked like DEF size. They looked huge.
Oh Lord.
So you can't wear a sweater on TV. Like it was awful. Yeah. Have fun with them. That's what he said. Yeah.
I never had body issues until I got my triple D boobs. Busting out all over, trying to get clothes that would fit normally, but fit my giant boobs in.
Yeah.
It was just like, this is really overrated.
I know. I thought it was too. I really like being flat again. I wish I had never done it. I love my little small boobs again. I feel like myself again.
And that's what matters most. You're getting your health back and you are yourself. You feel like you.
Yes. So now I'm on a mission to discover who I really am.
Oh, girlfriend, I'm on that mission with you. I'm doing the same sort of thing.
You are?
High five. Yes, it's important. We get, you lose yourself in so many things.
Yep.
So self-care is important. And, I just think that since I got my breast implants out, I'm much more comfortable when I sleep. There's so many different things. You don't realize how many times you smoke your boobs throughout the day. I don't advise people to just go get rid of their boobs, but I can tell you after being like a B cup, a C cup, a triple D cup, and concave and flat for me is where it's at.
Yep, me
personally. Too. It's just easy.
Black is the new black.
That's right.
I love it. I'm serious. And yeah, and I see women that are small, and I think it's a trend now. The small boobs are coming back in. I sit there laughing at all these women. I'm not laughing. I feel sad for them that they've put silicone in their fannies, in their butts, because they want the big butts, and they've put implants in. I thought I heard that they found BIA-ALCL in a butt implant patient.
Oh, I could totally see that happening.
Because I'm assuming they're putting textured ones in so that they stay,
Yep.
And I also had another surgeon tell me they tried to remove a butt implant and it was a nightmare and they'll never do it again. It was such a nightmare trying to get it out.
That's going to be a whole other nightmare.
I'm assuming because of all the butt muscles and stuff, it was really difficult to remove and they'll never do it again. They will send them to another surgeon. So these people, and then another surgeon just saw a patient, they had injected loose silicone in their butt. Loose.
It's insane.
Loose. Just prepare to lose your life in a few years. You're not going to be around long if you react to that silicone. And they were already in there sick. They were already in the office sick. And they're like, there's not much we can do. You can't get it out. You can get
I'm sure their lymph nodes probably would show silicone throughout their lymph nodes as well.
Yeah, so I see all these people with these big butts, all these girls doing this. And then what about the bodybuilders with calf implants and chin implants, cheek implants?
Well, and transsexual patients, I have people that were transitioning and they were really adamant about getting breast implants to feel better in their clothes. And And they asked me about it, and I told them, I tried to be non-biased as possible, but she said that, I don't know, she said that she was already a C cup or something just naturally. And I said, man, you know what? That's more than a lot of women ever will have in their life. Go out and get the right bra for you, get the right clothes that show off that form that you want to show off, because you have it there. And if it's not worth, going through that necessarily to have those health implications be a possibility, if you are basically, blessed already, and just haven't seen that blessing. And so transgender folks, I know it's an issue for them too. And I know that they're in our breast implant illness groups as well. And
They
I
are?
just hope, yes, I've seen.
Are
at
there
least
any
two
on our Michigan page?
No, I haven't seen them there. I think it was
Aw.
maybe breast implant illness and recovery, or it was one of the bigger ones. And somebody had chimed in saying that they were transgendered. And I just don't think that talks maybe in that community enough yet. And so
Yeah.
I've been trying to get that out there as well, just because I hate to see anybody. I don't care who you are. You
Right.
deserve to be healthy and have awareness about what you're putting in your body.
I don't care what they do, as long as they don't bother me. I don't care what other people do. So, but I don't want to
Yep.
see them walking around sick and they don't know why.
Yeah. Well, I feel bad. I don't watch Wendy Williams' show, but sometimes I see her pop up on TV, and I wish I had her personal phone number and could say, girlfriend, we need to have a heart to heart, because she is kind of a walking BII billboard, and she might have other issues, but she has so many mystery illnesses. And
what about Kim Kardashian getting diagnosed with lupus? Hello, it's the silicone in your body. Get it out.
Yes. I even think to Anna Nicole Smith, she was somebody that had multiple implants as well. She had lots of pain. She had mental disturbances. She was suicidal. If you look back to some people that aren't with us now too, I wonder how much breast implants actually played a role in their story, not just being a Hollywood story, but they might have been poisoned from the inside, just like a lot of us are experiencing them. They just didn't know. It's a shame.
I agree. Yeah. I think a lot of us get nutty. I've seen and spoken to a lot of breast implant illness ladies who almost seem psychotic. They you lose your brain. I said, I thought I was going crazy. Like the moods, I lost my coping skills is what I felt like I couldn't cope with, everything was overwhelming. I couldn't cope with anything.
Yes, overstimulation from every aspect of your life, basically. Yeah, it's crazy. And it's so hopefully, people will just be more aware and can make the right decisions for them. And if they don't, and they realize it, shit, I screwed up. I shouldn't have got these boobs. Don't choke on that $10,000 to $8,000. Go through with it, feel better. Money is something, years from now, you're not going to worry about that money that you paid.
But sadly, a lot of them don't have the money to remove them because they've spent it on getting them, and they saved up all their money to get them. And now they don't have any money. That's the tragic part. One of us needs to hit the lottery so we can, I'm serious. I told my husband,
like a nonprofit of some sort,
so we can pay for people's explants.
Seriously, because I think, it's definitely life-saving in some instances. And if, I've talked about a nonprofit for BII, even if you could get one woman a year from a GoFundMe account or something, get her surgery, that would be a wonderful thing, because I know it's very, it fills you with despair when you know that something might save your life and you just can't afford to do it.
Yeah. So if anyone out there sees a friend of theirs or somebody they know with a GoFundMe page for breast implant illness, really seriously, you feel like you're dying and she might possibly be dying, or that person might possibly be dying. It might not just be a woman all the time, like you said. Well, I mean, you know what I mean? Well, they're still considered women.
Yes.
I'm digging myself in a hole, trying to make it right.
You're okay. You're okay. You're doing good.
I did stop saying that though. Like I was talking about BII and I'd say, ladies, women. And then I thought, you know what? It's not just women. There's trans people out there with them. And I did say,
yes. And I think Dr. Khan not long ago actually had a man, there was a man that had a pectoral implant, I think.
Oh, he did?
I'm pretty, it was in the chest. There was a man.
Oh.
And I don't know, maybe it wasn't Dr. Khan. Honestly, I'd have to go through groups and
Oh,
see
he
if I
might
can
have.
find it.
Oh, I'm gonna go look on his page and see.
Yes, because
Oh,
one of them posted a man.
He posted a man who had, what's it called when you grow breasts? What's that called when the men grow breasts? And he had done a reduction on him. I couldn't find any scars or anything. I'm like, my
Really?
gosh, I mean, it was incredible. Oh my God, it was incredible. So the
He's an
doctor
amazing
up in
person.
Lansing, my new doctor up in Lansing, I met with him last week. So it's the first time I met him because the other lady retired. And so I'm telling him my story, how I got sick from the breast implants. And he's like, there's a doctor in Providence. And I go, Dr. Khan. And he goes, yes, a Dr. Khan. Do you know of Dr. Khan? And I said, I have Dr. Khan on speed dial. Yes.
Yes.
And he said he wanted to talk to Dr. Khan because he was fascinated by the breast implant illness. And so then I've now connected he and Dr. Khan so they can
Wonderful.
Yeah. So yeah, he automatically knew. And he's like, oh my God. He goes, breast implants. And I said, yep. And he's like that. He goes, people have no idea how bad they are.
Yeah, and then that's one thing for all of us women that see a dozen specialists or two specialists, whatever it is, to communicate with your specialist. I know my OOMM, he brings in a new student or doctor every time he sees me, every 3 to 4 weeks, and tells the short version of my breast implant damage story. Because he saw it from inside out, and he's seen the changes now as I recover and get better. And for those people to share with their friends and for them to share with other specialists, I think that, planting those seeds all over, it's just going to help us all out so much better as far as getting the care that we need.
Yeah, I agree. I had a great question for you now. I just forgot.
It'll come back to you.
We should never host a show together as like co-hosts because we're both going to be like, I forgot what I was saying. And you'd be like, I forgot too.
I'll be like, let me get my paper. I gotta have everything on a paper.
Oh,
Then I'll be okay.
hilarious. It was a good question too I had. Darn it.
Maybe it'll come back.
Maybe. So you see what I go through? Hot, cold, hot, cold.
Well, yeah, that's why I've been putting my sweater on, I'm sweating right now.
It is a crazy weather day here in Michigan though. It did. It downpoured about a half hour ago.
Nice.
While we were talking.
Nice. We need rain here.
It only downpoured like out the lakeside and not the driveway.
It's sporadic today. Michigan's so crazy with the weather.
It is.
Yeah. So it's a muggy one.
You think we covered everything?
I think we covered a lot. I hope that we hopefully help some ladies out and gents out there, whoever might be receptive.
Got anything else to add that we might
have
missed?
Be your own advocate and, never stop loving yourself, no matter what you are, how you are.
I know what it was. I am dismissed by my general doctor here, my gynecologist, but you know who listens is the nurses and the staff. They are like, what? I've never heard of that. The doctors are like, they could care less.
I tell them.
That's why I pay out.
Put that in my chart. Did you write that in my chart?
Yes. And I know a lot of women on the boards are switching to functional medicine doctors and natural healing doctors and stuff. And that's basically what I'm doing. He's an actual MD. He's a DO. And when you have a doctor who listens to you to pay $300, it was almost $400 out of pocket. It's a lot of money. But when you consider how many co-pays you pay going to specialist after specialist or doctor after doctor and all the time that you take out of your day to go to all these appointments, it's absolutely worth it to me to sit there for a full hour and one-on-one ask him anything, talk about anything. And you get diagnosed. I'm telling you, you get diagnosed and it's fixed. You're not running all over town. So I know it's a lot of money, but I think people should start considering looking into alternate forms of healthcare from these doctors. There are doctors out there who do really care.
Yes, and it's an investment in your health. You have to look at it as an investment.
Yes. So I know people are like, what? But it's worth it. Trust me, when you go and sit, it's worth it. And they're the ones
Yes.
who diagnosed my Hashimoto's. Let me tell you this, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, right? So I had never heard of it, but my entire life, Dawn Ann, I was anorexic, skinny looking. I was so grossly thin. I looked anorexic. I was not anorexic. I just could never gain weight. I would always say, you could give me $1 million. I couldn't gain weight until I put those breast implants in. And then I went up to 198 pounds.
Insane.
Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, we're terrible today. I haven't eaten.
Well, there's good days and bad days, and I don't have anything wrote down here to help me. So I feel like I'm doing good.
When I had the implants in, I was at lunch with a bunch of gals and I was telling a hilarious story, like about my cat or something. And right mid sentence, I'm like, and they're laughing and I'm like, and they're like, what? I go, I just blanked out. And they're like, oh, you were talking about your cat and blah, blah, blah. No, no. Yeah, you were talking about, and you said this and that. And I'm like, no, I can't even recall it. It was like it didn't even happen and I could not recall it. And they kept prompting me and I'm like, I'm blank. And they're all staring at me. I go, I don't know what's happening.
It's the weirdest feeling.
No, it's awful.
It is because literally as much as you search in the depths of your brain, you can't recall.
No, it's like somebody erased it. And that used to happen to me when I was a kid with my ADD. I have bad ADD, which I still think is also connected to what I'm eating and stuff, but, and it makes it worse. But yeah, I'd know all the answers and then they'd put the test in front of me and I'd go blank. I'd just be blank and I could not, I just sit there like, I know the answer and it's gone. It's out of my brain, gone.
Yeah. Sometimes it pisses me off, but I'm getting much better about it. Yes, because when especially if you're talking,
you don't care.
Well, if you talk to a whole room full of people and they're waiting on your next word and you're like,
yes. Oh, it's so embarrassing. Yes.
Oh, it is
embarrassing moments on here for me. Yeah.
Well, and trying to speak in front of crowds and stuff, I'll just tell them at the beginning, I have cognitive problems. So if I just have a brain fart or something, just bear with me and I'll just keep on rolling on.
Well, I'm going to go get our mushrooms off the porch and see if I can get some of my memory back.
Yeah. Check out all those different mushrooms. There's so many wonderful, clean mushroom supplements out there that are really helpful for brain and body. So
I will.
Good luck.
Yeah. And then am I going to see you tomorrow? Are we Zooming for legislation tomorrow?
I don't think we are tomorrow.
Zooming with someone. See how bad this is? I'm Zooming tomorrow with someone for something.
I will let you know though when we have a Zoom come up. It wasn't me this time, but
it's somebody tomorrow.
Good luck. I hope you find out who it is.
I see how bad it is. Now you're understanding. When you guys are like, she's MIA again. Now you're getting it. It's like, what? Oh, look, a squirrel.
I get it.
It's
if
awful.
I didn't have my iPad calendar, I wouldn't make it to anything.
Oh, and my husband still, I'm like, he's like, did you get it? Or what? Like I went to retrieve something and I'm like, oh no, I saw a squirrel. Sorry. I'll go back and get that. Yeah. I saw a squirrel.
Get distracted.
I always say, sorry, I saw a squirrel.
Yep. I feel the same way. It's easy to get distracted, but hey.
Well, thank you for giving us all your time. And I'm sure your story has helped lots of women because the breast cancer is an interesting twist on top of it for that. Not most of us don't have the breast cancer first, a lot of us. So
right.
You're a different story than most of them. Unfortunately, there's too many that have your same story, way too many that have your same story, but yeah, the bulk are just getting sick from their implants, but the breast cancer on top of it, that's awful. It almost is like they should ban them permanently and not let them put them in women with breast cancer. But I mean, again, your body, your choice.
That's right.
You've been warned.
The choice is there.
As long as you've been warned, do what you want.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Make it happen. Yes. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you so much for having me. Until next time.
And thank you for being brave enough to share your story and helping all the people that you help daily.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you everybody for being here. Thank you, Tracy. I said, thanks for everybody for tuning in.
Yes. All right. Love you.
All right. Love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.